When you think of an operating system, what comes to mind? Most would say Windows was their first thought, or perhaps Macintosh. But what if there was a third? Linux is that option, and may play a more integral role in the web than you may first think. For starters, Linux is used as a base for many servers and is considered part of the LAMP software bundle, L standing for Linux, which is a standard for a variety of website stacks. Many server hosts prefer Linux, primarily because it is open source and free, while also being dynamic, rich in features, and well supported. But before I continue, what exactly is Linux? And how is it different from Windows or Mac? Originally, Linux was simply a system kernel developed by Linus Torvalds in 1991, but later grew to be known as the host of distributions that it is today. A kernel is what facilitates communication between the computer hardware and the applications on the computer. Imagine if you ran Firefox. The kernel would then tell the pieces of hardware, like the RAM and processor, what to do to make Firefox work. Over time, Linux evolved from simply a kernel and was incorporated into complete operating systems like Debian, Arch, and Android. Linux also comes in different flavors, as some like to call them, or distributions as they are officially called. Different distributions have different uses. For example, a distribution called Puppy Linux is developed for older machines, or a distribution called Tails is designed specifically to remain anonymous on the web. There are also more desktop-friendly distributions like Debian, Ubuntu, and Fedora, which accommodate the traditional workplace flow. So which distribution would be useful in web development and design? My first choice would be Debian, as it is tried and tested when it comes to Linux. Debian is what many other distros are based on, including Ubuntu, Mint, Elementary OS, and is still updated with security and usability features. Since it's been around for a while, it has a large repository of programs to use and lots of support from people who know a lot about the system. My second choice would be Fedora, which is based on RPM for similar reasons. And for web hosting, many have chosen CentOS, which is a distribution that does very well as a server. Now that you've chosen a distribution, what programs would be at your disposal? Sadly, the Adobe suite is not made for Linux systems, but there are many good and often free alternatives on Linux. The two most notable are GIMP and Inkscape. GIMP is a raster program similar to Photoshop, with many of the same tools and even a few tools that Photoshop doesn't have. GIMP has layers, selection channel editing, adjustments, and filters, as well as anything else a good designer would need. Another popular tool is Inkscape, a free and open source vector program similar to Illustrator. It can do many similar things, although the learning curve is mildly steep. There are other programs like Vector and Krita as well, which do similar things. For 3D modeling and video editing, most notable is the free and open source program Blender, which is a fully documented and well-supported 3D modeling and video editing program for Linux, Mac, and Windows. For development, there is also Firefox Developer, which is like ordinary Firefox but with tools and options tailored for web development. Available on Linux as well as Windows and Mac, this tool is an inspector, a visual editor, a console, as well as multiple other tools and monitors for the average web developer. And the best part, everything I've just mentioned is 100% free. All you need is a computer to boot from, a bit of time and know-how, and you're all set. In essence, developing on Linux means you can operate an entire freelancing business for the cost of one computer. You don't even have to pay for Windows or Mac, which would come with bloatware and security privacy issues anyway. With Linux, you would be secure, efficient, and productive, all while keeping some cash in your pocket for later. This, in essence, is why Linux is a valid and worthy contender in the life of a web developer. It's free, supported, secure, expansive, and versatile, making Linux an excellent choice for any web developer.